Welcome to the Smark Foundation podcast. I'm Aaron. That's Adam.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
And we are here with your weekly WWE and AEW reviews, as well as our Call It in the Ring segment at the end. I'd like to remind you all that you can find us on Linktree at Smark Foundation Podcast and pretty much everywhere else at Smark Foundation Podcast. We are on all podcasting platforms except for Apple, but we are still, as always, Safari friendly and background listening friendly there on Safari. Other than that, it's been a great week of wrestling. Adam, what do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I'd just like to add to that make sure to find us on Twitter. We would love to engage with our listeners a little bit more. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the content. We'd like to hear your thoughts on maybe giving us some ideas for what you would like to hear from us in our Calling It in the Ring segment. I'm always open to ideas. Aaron's always open to ideas. We want to give you what you're looking for, what you are missing. The whole point of this podcast is to give the internet wrestling sphere what it's missing, a desperately needed dose of positivity. But there are also things that we don't even know what's missing, most likely. So what do you want to hear from us? We would love to hear that from you. Please engage with us. We're terminally online.
We are
that generation that is terminally online, and mostly just for wrestling stuff anyway. So check out our Linktree. Both of our Twitter accounts are on there. The official Twitter account for this podcast is also on there, so you can talk to us both. You can talk to us individually. Our DMs are open if you'd rather do it that way than in public. Please engage with us. It was great last week getting my friends to give me all those 82 names for it was incredible getting help and getting input from outside this. It's not even a circle. It's two people. It's a straight line. That's all it is. So we would love to hear your feedback, positive, negative, anything. We do not cry easily when it comes to criticism, as long as it's good faith and it's not just mean for the sake of it. Constructive criticism. Right. We're starting out. We're steadily improving things. Eventually, we'll be getting better equipment. We're going to be adding some music soon. It will be great. My brother Garrett is on top of that. He's a wonderful musician who I've co-opted into our little scheme here. You'll be able to hear his music probably next week, I would think, depending on how much time he has. We're doing some stuff on YouTube, playing with some graphics and stuff like that. Little bit by little bit, we're getting to the level that we know that you want and we know that you expect from those prime time podcasts. Stay with us. Help us get there.
Speaking of our social medias, I want to thank all the fellow wrestling podcasts who have followed us this week. We are actually, I think, the vast majority of our current social media followers, especially for our Twitter, are other podcasts. So if you're from another wrestling podcast,
I think I know where that comes from too. My Twitter account. Follow, if you guys are in the market for listening for other podcasts as well, follow Good Pods on Twitter. They have tons of great podcasts for literally any category you could think of. A lot of them are smaller startups like we are. Absolutely go, and if you're in the market for that, if you have the time, please support them as well. Follow Good Pods. I think that's where those follows are coming from. I want to thank Good Pods for that opportunity. And if you are first-time listeners from that avenue, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
And speaking of our listeners, I want to give a major shout out. Since we don't have a Patreon or anything yet where anybody's paying to subscribe and we have like the list of supporters like other people have, I at least want to give a shout out to our unnamed fans in the UK and Helsinki, Finland, and New York State, US, who are our top 3 listening locations week after week. We are somehow in Finland and the UK and of
That's
course New York State.
fantastic.
But week after week, that's our top three week after week. And we really thank you guys, especially if you're listening to us from across the ocean. Um,
You hadn't told
I
me
don't
about
know how.
Helsinki. That's
Yeah,
great. That's
I don't know how they
fantastic.
found us. I don't know how they found us, but it's freaking awesome that y'all are listening, and we really appreciate it.
The
So,
internet is a wonderful thing.
isn't it? Isn't it
It
though?
really is. I mean, it's a cesspool sometimes, but it's a really wonderful thing at the end of the day. The only reason that we have the opportunity to do this, I mean, before podcasts, if you wanted to get somebody to listen to this, which is essentially an independent radio show, you had to be on a station.
Yeah.
The internet allows us to do this without having to worry about all the stuff that being on the radio necessitates from you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the
Like a
freedom.
$1 million+ FTC license.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't need that. Turns out, if you want to start a podcast, you don't need that.
Yeah. So you just the computer and a microphone, oddly enough, and a little bit of back end knowledge. But I think we both
Yeah,
got that covered, so we're good. But yeah, we really appreciate all our listeners. We really appreciate everybody who is following us and interacting with us on social media. As always, our first word of all our posted videos on YouTube goes out through our Twitter feed. As soon as they're posted, there's a post on Twitter feed about it. And as always, we have a live premiere of our episode every week. As soon as it's posted, it goes into premiere mode. So it's shown live to everybody right at the same time. So you can kind of listen in if you want to live right there. It plays automatically. Or you can go, check us out segment by segment. We post those over Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And usually Tuesdays is our review shows and Wednesdays is our Call It in the Ring, because our Call It in the Ring is, of course, non-time sensitive content we just do for fun. So we're not exactly going for a specific date on that. Just to let everybody know, towards the end of the season here, we're going to be cutting our first season off right around Christmas time. We are going to take a couple weeks off, but during that time, I will be making Raw review, SmackDown review, Dynamite review, Collision review, and Call It in the Ring omnibuses, and also releasing a YouTube video like our current videos of our very first episode in Call It in the Ring. All of that will be coming on YouTube over the course of those 2 weeks while we're taking time off to be with our families for the holidays. And so you'll still have content from us. You'll be able to go and rehash all the reviews if you like certain review segments. All of our Call It in the Rings will be in one nice little video package. Plus, if you haven't had a chance to check out our first video or our first episode on any of our podcasting platforms, it will be posted in full along with segments like all the other episodes there over the course of that 2 week period. So we really do appreciate everybody sticking with us through season one. We're about halfway through now, and I'm having a great time, and we hope y'all are too.
absolutely, absolutely. This has been so fun thus far, and I can't I can't thank you enough, Aaron, for bugging me for like literal months,
Literal months. Yeah.
literal months about you should do this with me. We should do this. We should totally we can totally do this. This is great. This is right up our alley. For literally months, almost a year, really. It's been little bit by little bit, and I am so thankful that you kept at it and didn't just set it to bed the first time I said, eh. So, because this has been a fantastic experience, and I cannot wait to see what comes in the future.
The first time I hit you up and was like, we should do a podcast, I actually didn't. I also actually did not have time to do a podcast, but I was like, you know what? If he says yes, I'll just make time. And then, right about the time where you finally gave in and was like, I have time, I actually did start having time. So it was like perfect timing. Like we both had the time
It's
and the will to do so. So
it's just serendipity.
it is. It was very serendipitous. So yeah, with that out of the way, that's our intro, and we're going to go right into our lockup, which is our Raw review for the week. Now, before I get this started, I'm just going to go a little bit over on the intro and talk about how we know that this has been going long. We know that some of you guys are new listeners, and you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are brand new, and they're doing 3 hours Coronet style. Okay, so we understand that, and we also think it's long. So what we're going to do now is shout out to Simon Miller for a little bit of the format. We're not going to call it ups and downs. We're going to figure out how we go from here. But we are going to kind of just highlight the highs and lows of the shows instead of going step by step through a review to kind of truncate these just a little bit. Now, later on, once we open up our Patreon, we will do full reviews.
Yeah.
We will have those available to our Patreon backers. However, right now, in the interest of just, kind of making sure that it's a listenable format and you can get through it without feeling like it's slog, we're going to truncate just a little bit. So
Yeah.
here we go with our lockup, our raw review. So I'm just going to go high low points like through each section, I guess. So the start of the show, Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins are like attacking each other right off the bat. It's freaking wild. This will go on throughout the rest of the evening, so I don't have to cover it over and over again. They literally, there's like 6 segments where it's interrupted because one of them jumps into the segment and the other one attacks it, and they just keep going throughout this. But like they're
The
attacking
sight.
at the beginning. Seth goes out to the ring immediately. He's like, "You want to get crazy? Let's do this right now!" And then literally, security guards are flying out of the entranceway, and here comes Bronson Reed, and they fight through security. Um, Seth gets DVD'd on the ring apron. And we big fight, and they go back. They're brawling out. Literally, first segment, probably 2 minutes in, they destroyed the announce table. And Stu Bennett was like, "This is literally the fastest this table has ever been destroyed."
They were probably going for a record.
It might have been, but yeah, it was like, I mean, immediately that thing was gone pretty much. I was like, wow, that was really quick. Like, we're supposed to sit all
Did they
night.
do the thing? Did they do the thing where they left it broken the entire episode then?
I'm
Or did
not
they
sure.
replace it?
I'm not. I think they might have replaced it,
Oh,
but I'm not sure.
boo.
I'd have to go
They
back and
should
look. But yeah, they definitely should
they
have just
should have
left it
been
sit.
brave. They should have been brave and just let them, you can call this. It's right in front of you. You don't need your monitors. Just call it.
Mm-hmm.
Be brave. This is a test.
Now, overall, start to finish, all the segments across the Bronson Reed Seth Rollins thing is really cool. We end up making a match for, I believe, Crown Jewel. Our redacted event that we're not covered too much. It's really hard not to mention it with all this stuff going on because pretty much everything on the show is pushing to that.
Well, yeah.
It's next week now. So, I mean, soon this will be over. I'm going to read the results so we can cover them, here on the show. But other than that, I'm just going to blow through those real quick. And that's all we're going to talk about Crown Jewel. So yeah, but otherwise, overall, from attacking each other all show long and then making a match at the end, good segments from Reed and Seth. They got really physical. It was fun. Then after that, we have a first of a couple of women's tag team division vignettes. They're recapping what happened with Lash and Jakara attacking Damage Control. They go into an interview with Damage Control. And then the New Day comes out for a match. And here we go with our first low, because guess what? The New Day entered for a match. We go to commercial. They come back and they do like literally 3 or 4 segments while the New Day's music's playing and they're just standing there in the ring.
So
I mean,
disrespectful.
like
Why are they doing
literally,
this?
like they enter, we go to commercial, we come back. They're talking about how Lillian Garcia is back because Samantha's gone, possibly to AEW. I'm not sure. Ricochet has refuted those rumors that she's going. She says, and she herself says she's going to go work on her music. I didn't know she did music. Lillian Garcia made some Spanish bangers. So, I mean, WWE actually has a good history of ring announcers going on to do good music. So, more power to Samantha. We loved you as a ring announcer. Good luck on your music.
She was awesome.
She was the best.
She was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I think, if I remember hearing correctly, I think she sang the national anthem for, I don't know if it was a football game or a baseball game recently or whatever. I'm wondering if somebody was in the crowd who was a record producer, was really impressed and offered her a contract.
But it's not entirely outside the realm of possibility. Yeah, it's possible. So,
especially if it was like a World Series or playoffs game right now. I mean, that there's, those tickets are not cheap. The people who go to those games, a very high percentage of them are people who are connected.
Right.
So wouldn't surprise me at all.
So, so the New Day entered for the tag match. They welcome back Lillian Garcia. There's a recap of Braun and Jey Uso because they have an IC title rematch later tonight. And then they show some guys in the crowd, like some famous guys. I can't remember who they were, but they show some famous people in the crowd. So it's like three 45-minute to 1 minute long, or 45-second to 1 minute long segments between the commercial end and New Day just standing there in the ring that whole time with their music playing. Um, Lillian Garcia is obviously back, so she's introducing this match, which is part of the, um, I guess, the tag team tournament. So she's introducing this. They just said, "Oh, legendary ring announcer, she's back with us full time." She starts introducing the tag team tournament and Botchamania moments it immediately. Yeah, just like her first line completely botched it.
Oh.
She picked it up throughout the night, but there was a couple of times that she botched.
Ring rust is a thing even
Ring
for
rust is a thing
announcers.
even for announcers. We still like having Lily Garcia back. That was the
Oh, she's
WWE voice of my
lovely.
childhood, and she's lovely. So
She's I mean, you hear nothing but glowing things about her as a person. She
yeah,
seems like she really avoided a lot of the negative stuff that wrestling can kind of bring to a performer. And make no mistake, a ring announcer is a performer.
yeah,
So yeah, good for her. Good for honestly, good for this generation. Because if you're going to take away possibly, arguably the best ring announcer that WWE's ever had, or at least the one with the most personality,
yeah. I'd
you
say
could
definitely arguably.
certainly do worse than a beloved figure who is used to doing it and is familiar with the product. You know, you could certainly do worse than Lillian.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. We could have Joel Gertner.
I
I mean, I
mean,
like Gertner, but he's not as good as Lillian. I'm sorry.
well, okay. I mean, his style would need to be toned down
I
quite a
don't think that's
bit,
possible for him. I don't think he would do that. So he'd get one night and then
and then he
um,
would get fired.
Another thing I want to talk about real quick that I hate about Raw, and I can't get beyond this, and I know I'm not the only person. I'm pretty sure this is a cold as fuck take because everybody has the same exact opinion that I have that I've talked to so far. They have got to stop editing out, like hitting the curse button when the crowd is chanting. The crowd chants "Holy
Mm,
shit!" and they hit the curse button. What they don't understand is that when they hit the curse button, it's not just killing the crowd; it's killing the match sounds, it's killing the commentators. It's like
and it's because
holy.
you can't isolate it.
No, you can't.
It's part of the entire audio,
Yeah,
so everybody's getting censored at that point.
it's so
And
annoying. I know everybody hates it. I want y'all to know I'm with you as far as the wrestling
I
media.
don't think that's going to be a problem when they go to Netflix, though.
I hope no. I don't think
They're
it
going
will.
to let everything fly
I
on
think there's gonna be
Netflix, I
lots of effing and
imagine.
jeffing going on as soon
Yeah.
as they hit Netflix for sure. I mean, Daniel Bryan is saying the F word on TBS, which I don't know if they actually beep that when they're on TBS, but I get the Fight TV feed, like
Yep,
usually
they
from
don't
the,
censor that.
and they don't. No, I don't. I also don't do picture in picture, so I get to hear the commentary that goes on during picture in picture, which is always very interesting because they
Yeah.
always crack jokes on each other and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like revisiting Dark and Elevation when they
yeah.
would just do whatever and just have fun. It's
Now,
a
speaking
very
of that,
different atmosphere.
when we do the Dynamite review, we have to talk about Nigel breaking character because he was too mean to Tony.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so it's AOP versus New Day. The Final Testament's out there. Miz shows up and he's wearing like black suit, black sunglasses, like he's very fitting of the AOP Final Testament vibe, but he still looks like the Miz. So he's kind of doing what they're doing, but he's not doing the leather and all that. He's wearing what he would wear, but he still it very
Yeah, he'll
much
let
fit their
Maurice wear
vibe.
the leather.
Yeah. But he very much fit their vibe. And then it, cuts a commercial comeback. He's standing next to there. He's talking to Carrie and Scarlett. Like he's obviously kind of joining up with them. Then Truth shows up. He starts beating on everybody. Um, with his distraction, New Day's able to roll up AOP and they get the pin. Then Truth gets beat up afterwards, and Kofi wants to help him, but Xavier basically drags him to the back and doesn't let him help. So I thought this Xavier Woods being a dickhead thing might be over, but it's not. However, what I want to say is get on with it the fuck already. It's y'all have literally it's been stagnating at this will he won't he point where it could have been any time now, and it's been weeks. It's too much. Like I like the story. I want to see the turn. I always like seeing longtime tag teams fight each other because they know each other so well. It's always usually a really good match, Usos aside. But I just with those two guys, I know it'll be a great match, but I just the storyline is getting to be too much. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Please pull the trigger on this so we can kind of clear a little space and have some breathing room.
I read some interesting speculation saying that maybe they're holding out until the anniversary of the 10-year anniversary of the New Day, and that's when Big E will come back and mend fences and put them back together, or they go the other way with it and Xavier cements his heel turn by attacking Big E. So I think if you feel like it's being stretched out, I'm wondering if that's what they're waiting for.
Maybe
for that moment.
That would be a good reason, and I could hold out for that, I think. But otherwise, like if that's not the plan, guys, come on. Like if Big E's really not coming back ever, and we can't even do like an attack spot with him or anything like that, let's just go ahead and get this over with because I want Big E back. It's not the same. I mean, I love those.
I mean, even if you can't take a bump, you can still take a shot to the balls.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Fair.
You know.
So anyway, Paul, Final Testament's beaten on Truth. Kofi gets dragged to the back by Xavier, but then the lights go dark and the Wyatt Six music hits, and they show up and they start beating up the Final Testament. And Uncle Howdy pops up and Ellering intercepts him from going after Karrion Kross, and Ellering gets a mandible claw for his trouble. So two big old ups right there, or actually probably three big old ups right there that I really liked. Okay, let's start with I love the Wyatt Six. I like that they're spooky, but they're not supernatural. I dig it. Okay, like yeah, they do weird stuff, but they're just weird. They're like Saw type of weird. They're not, paranormal activity weird. So I'm digging it. Another one, they looks like they're going to feed Final Testament to the Wyatt Six. I'm all okay with that. I don't, even with the Miz, I'm not a big Final Testament fan. It feels like,
honestly, I think Karrion Kross is so boring.
I do too.
I think so boring. The best thing that he does is his Jesse Ventura impression, which is spot on. For the record, it's uncanny. But he's just boring. I don't know why they put the NXT title on him and had him to his finisher was a side suplex. Like he just this was the guy. This was the guy that you pushed. Like I don't see it. I mean, he's a student of the game. He comes like if I saw the Chris Van Vliet interview, and he comes off as a very knowledgeable, intelligent guy. He has a great look. I'll give him that. But in the interest of remaining positive, but I don't see it. He's not for me, I guess. No, if he is for other people, great, awesome. Enjoy what you enjoy. He's not for me.
That's another big one. I just really don't like Final Testament that much. So if they get fed to Wyatt Six, totally cool with me. And then Mandible Claw. Always cool to see a Mick Foley shout out. Love the Mandible Claw. I don't know if anybody who out there who's hearing this, it really works. So in a pinch, literally, it's one of the things in wrestling that really works. If you get your hand in somebody's mouth without getting bit, they won't be able to bite you if you get that on.
Yeah, people they always think it's just the fingers down the throat. It's not just that. You're pinching the nerve with your thumb as well. So if you do that to yourself, the natural reaction is you'll catch yourself before you really hurt yourself. But I imagine just from doing that if somebody really did that to me, it would be absolutely debilitating. Oh, yeah, and that's a shoot.
Yeah.
That's a shoot.
So then after all that's going on, we have a commercial, and then we come backstage to Adam Pearce. They're asking him how he it's another one of those Seth and Reed interrupt the thing fighting. So that again. Then we move to a backstage interview with Jay, ask him to address what happened last week. He says he's going to retain tonight and, yeet and all that. Then we have a Raquel video package where she's targeting Rhea Ripley in the video package. We'll see how that turns out. I don't really like Judgment Day, and I don't think adding another person is going to make it better for me. Then Damage Control makes their way to the entry for a match against Liv and Raquel. Lash and Jakara are ringside again. They interfere and the match is thrown out this time instead of it, causing somebody to win. Then Damage Control start a beat down on Lash, but then Jakara gets involved and they leave Damage Control laid out. And then Liv and Raquel come out, kind of get in their face, and then Rhea shows up. Rhea shit cans Raquel, then grabs Liv, hits her with a big knee, puts her in a prison trap until Raquel comes back, and then Rhea powders. Liv tries to take advantage, but gets a nasty headbutt off of it. Dom saves her from a riptide. It's just a lot of. It was almost a match, but it wasn't a match. I mean, there was a match, but then it wasn't a match, and then the ending stuff was almost a match all in itself too. I think it went long. Then we go backstage to another segment with Pierce. Rollins comes up yelling at him, and then Bronson interrupts by spearing him, and they start fighting again. So more of that. This is the point where he makes the match for Crown Jewel. Then we got Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee ready for a tournament match against American Made. We come back from a commercial for a War Raiders vignette, and then a recap of the most viewed Instagram reels, and then a backstage Judgment Day promo. And this is where the Carlito thing kind of starts, but then he later is when the thing happens. We finally, but after all of that, then we finally go back to the ring, and American Made finally makes their entrance. So another one of 3 minutes of them just standing there. For the live audience,
if this was only happening to one act, tag team, individual, whatever, and it kept happening to them specifically in order to build some kind of character thing, it's like, oh, I'm getting tired of the disrespect, this, that, and the other thing. I could see why they would do it, but it just comes off as disrespectful just hearing you say it. Like, to do that to so many people, like, why do you have them stand there? Just do the segments and then get them to the ring, so that it's stupid. That's stupid.
It's very stupid. I don't like it. So then we have the match. It's pretty good. Mysterio and Dragon Lee win to advance. Dragon Lee hit a frog splash that looked really good, but there wasn't a whole lot to note. And then after that, we have the Pierce and Carlito segment. That I'm not going to really further elaborate on because everybody knows what the hell happened. And whoever greenlit that or whoever told Carlito, you can veer off of what we write specifically for you, because if that wasn't written, you need to fucking put a leash on that asshole.
Yeah.
You should. I mean, I'm sorry. It's 2024. There's going to be people saying I'm too sensitive. Maybe y'all aren't sensitive enough. Okay.
Yeah.
That was, if he said, man, I need to learn Japanese because they're hot and I need to be able to understand them, that would be a whole different connotation than I need to learn Chinese, which is I can't tell the difference between Asian people because I'm a racist idiot.
Even though you've worked with them.
Even though you've worked with them.
Yeah.
And
like
in Puerto Rico. Now. They have worked for his dad. They've worked for his dad.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. Like, not all Hispanic and Latinx people are the same. Would he like it if somebody mistook him for a Brazilian?
Yeah, or Brazilian.
Like, oh man, I need to learn Portuguese.
Yeah, he wouldn't like that.
Come on, he wouldn't like that.
So so we go from there to an interview with Braun backstage. It's basically just a rehash of the same interview he did last week. This guy has got to up his promo game. He's starting to sound like his uncle, not his dad. Because to be fair, Rick Steiner was like Silent Bob. When he said something, it mattered because he did.
And he said, if you want some, come get some, years before Cena did.
Yes, that's true.
For the record.
And then he makes his way.
Cena's a thief.
Braun's going to the entrance for his match, but then we have a Gunther backstage interview. He'll be in Brooklyn for SmackDown to talk to Cody. Okay, cool. We go back to the ring for Jay's entrance. Bloodline shows up to distract Jay during the match. We get a brief face-off between Braun and Jacob Fatu. Holy shit, give me this match. Holy crap. Fatu super kicks Jay. After Solo saves Jay from a spear, Fatu super kicks him, slams him on the announce table, gives Braun the advantage. Braun hits the spear. He wins the IC title back. I don't know why they took it off Jay so quickly. Braun celebrates as the show ends. This is a down for me. Why did you give Jey Uso a title that's been held for 667 days previous to his reign and then just give it back to the other guy 2 weeks later? It was dumb. I didn't like that at all. But Raw overall, very good. Please work on y'all's formatting. Please do entrances after segments, after the commercial. I don't know what else I can say about that. I cannot say over, like, I'm trying, in the interest of trying to remain positive, I cannot keep saying how much this specific formatting issue where you have the guys in front of the live crowd standing there for minutes at a time while you do other shit is disrespectful to your crowd, disrespectful to the wrestlers you're making stand there, especially when one of them is a Hall of Famer named Rey fucking Mysterio. You like it's
Not only
almost
that, but you're also, by forcing them to be there doing nothing in the ring, you're endangering them because they're getting cold.
yeah.
Like they're already stretched out. They're not doing their stretches in the ring. They're not doing their workouts in the ring. They're already ready to go. They're already loose and limber, and now you're cooling them off for no reason. You are just inviting more injuries.
Yeah. So yeah, I just don't like this formatting. I don't like the way they're doing it. I really wish they'd fix it. Other than that, though, Raw gets a pretty good up. The course of the show, while it was all kind of jumbled and very fast paced, because they're really trying to build. They're really trying to give everything time to build to this crown jewel thing. It was really good. So yeah, overall, Raw was a positive. It's just the formatting that I really don't like. And the Carlito thing, which I'm not going to further expound on because my gosh. But yeah, other than
Yeah, if
that,
you
that
don't
was
know what's wrong with that, I don't know what else to tell you.
no, I don't. But that was our Raw review for the week, and I think we're gonna get into. All right, now it is time for
The shine, baby. Dynamite this week was very story heavy, much less wrestling heavy than Collision was, as you'll see. I'm gonna just try and I'm not even gonna recap the whole show. I'm just gonna tell you what I liked and what I thought could use some improvement. First thing I loved was Sammy Guevara versus Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin has had now 2 straight bangers. First with Leo Rush, where he got to do the thing that he doesn't normally do, where he's just throwing a little guy around. That was awesome. Sammy Guevara is a smaller guy, but not Leo Rush small, and he threw him around too. He dominated early, but the story was, he was bigger and stronger and just as athletic as Sammy, but Sammy was a little bit faster, a lot younger, and was much more willing to take those big risks. So anytime for like the good 3/4 of the match, anytime he was able to get some high flying, high risk offense on, it usually paid off and swung the pendulum of momentum back in Sammy's way. Shelton, by the way, was mean in this match. He just kind of just I wasn't there for the Hurt Business as it was playing out because I wasn't watching WWE. So I don't know if this was how he acted then. So feel free to correct me. But I don't think I've ever seen this kind of mean streak from Shelton Benjamin before. He was just a bully. He just threw Sammy around, hit him a bunch of times where it looked kind of on the snug side, a little bit. There was one point, though, it's probably the point that everybody's going to remember this. Everybody's been talking about it. And I loved it. I love it when they call back to famous moments in their own history. And Sammy Guevara is known for doing this, too. When he turned on Chris Jericho in the match they had last year, he was wearing trunks as an homage to Chris Jericho's trunks from the match that he had with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, after which he booted Michaels in the testicles, to foreshadow Sammy doing the same after he lost to Jericho. So Sammy's known for doing this kind of stuff. He goes up to springboard, right into a Shelton Benjamin super kick to mirror the famous Sweet Chin music to Shelton Benjamin off the springboard in the Gold Rush tournament of 2004. It was awesome. I loved it. I know some people were arguing that should have been the finish, but Shelton Benjamin never finished anybody with a super kick. Why? Even as impressive as that was, that shouldn't have been the finish. He beat him up a little bit more, and eventually won with the Exploder Power Slam. Whatever they're going to give that name, they got to give it a name.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know it's really returning to form because that was his very first finisher in WWE, and
Mm-hmm.
then he went to that leaping flatliner that like everybody has. But yeah, like it was a great match, and I would definitely tell you anybody to go seek it out because this version of Shelton Benjamin has only had 2 matches, and he's already my favorite version of Shelton Benjamin, which is insane when you think of the kind of highlights he's given us in Money in the Bank ladder matches and great tag team matches he's had with Charlie Haas, and just the Gold Rush tournament moment and stuff like that. Shelton's mama was great too. This is already my favorite version of him in 2 matches, and I can't wait to see him face Swerve next week. I'm super excited for that. Another thing that I liked from this show, earlier, Adam Cole had gotten into the ring and he was joined by the Undisputed Kingdom. So they're tying that thread there, that was kind of left hanging. And so they're tying it in there. They are still associated. I don't know if this is a temporary face turn for the Undisputed Kingdom or not, but there's doing this like friendly rivalry now, essentially. Like, we're gonna help. We're all on board with you trying to get back at MJF, but respectfully, I want first crack at him, says Roddy. So MJF gets on the big screen and he's like, okay, well, how about this? Whoever of you gets to 3 wins first gets me at Full Gear. You know, blah blah blah. But that's not even the part that I like. The part that I like was that later on, Renee is backstage interviewing Adam Cole about that right after the House of Blacks squash match, where at the end of that, Buddy Matthews wanted to be Adam Cole's first opponent. And I don't know why I liked it so much. Maybe it was because it kind of tied the world together a little bit as more of a cohesive thing. But Adam Cole goes from being asked by Renee about that moment to saying, well, why don't I just go ask him himself? And literally walks away from her and the camera follows him right up to Buddy Matthews, who's coming through the curtain from the ramp at that moment. And, to confront him about it. And, Matthew says, it's because you're fragile. He wants to test him essentially. It wasn't the reasoning behind it. It was just the way it was done. I can't remember the last time I saw somebody do something like that, where a segment was produced in such a manner where it's like, okay, you're gonna be here, and then you're just gonna leave Renee, and you're gonna go get the answer yourself as the guys come through. Like, I don't know, I just thought that was a really novel way of doing things that I haven't seen a lot before. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's like it ties into, these aren't isolated incidents. They share a continuity. They share a world. They share a kind of existence, a universe that kind of stuff, when it's broken up, yeah, it still seems there. But when you combine those 2 elements together in one segment like that, I really feel like everything is connected.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that as wrestling fans, I think we enjoy when it happens because it doesn't feel like that's reinforced very often, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to give that one a big thumbs up because it was something simple, and it wasn't really to advance like a huge story or anything like that, but it was something that I want to see more of going forward. Those kinds of world building segments. Um, uh, Something that I don't want to say didn't like, because in the interest of putting positivity out into the wrestling sphere, I want to be constructive, but I wasn't a huge fan of the ending of the ladder war First of all, it shouldn't have been in the middle of the show. It should have been the main event, or at the very least, opening the show. I know why they didn't have it closed because of the big angle at the end. But if you're going to do that, have this open the show. The match itself was fun. You know, it was a lot of cool stuff. You know, I mean, Jericho, say what you want about him, but like he's still willing to take the bumps. He's still willing to put his body through hell in order to sell a program or a match. That said, Jericho winning, I wasn't a fan of that.
Mm-mm.
And not even so much for the storyline reason, although there is that too. It was because Kyle O'Reilly came out with Mark Briscoe to begin the match, and then you just be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna head out on stage with you, and then you do your thing. But there was all this interference, and Kyle O'Reilly didn't try to prevent Big Bill at the end. We already established that you're willing to go out there on the stage with him. Why weren't you hanging around?
Right.
Like Rocky Romero came out to get rid of Brian Keith. Why didn't Kyle O'Reilly, who was already there and who would then show up after the bell, like with Tomohiro Ishii, who I'm always glad to see, even if he just kind of stood there and did nothing. You know, he's a big, angry, sentient bowling ball. What's not to love about Tomohiro Ishii? Like he's fantastic. But what? Where was Kyle O'Reilly?
Yeah.
He should have been there to neutralize, or at least to attempt and then fail to neutralize Big Bill. But he was nowhere. Like to me, it was more than the result itself. It was the lacking of the psychology that put me off from it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make Jericho the Nueve? I mean, you're paying him so much money, you might as well do something with him. I guess maybe for all we know, maybe Tony Khan is really still trying to push somebody carrying Ring of Honor, and they want that name recognition. That's what they did a couple years ago when they first bought ROH. That's why they put the title on Jericho to begin with. Maybe something's coming back around. If that's the case, I understand it. I'm not like a huge fan of it. I feel like Jericho needs to step away and come back, give us some time to miss him. But like for me, this didn't hit. Like the match was ruined by not ruined, but like it was marred, I guess, by lacking of psychology. It really honestly would have benefited simply by having Kyle come in and just fail.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that would have improved it because then at least it would have been trying. Like you need OC back out there for the thing that I'm going to be talking about next. So okay, that's fine. But Rocky came down. There's no reason that um there's no reason that Kyle shouldn't have when he already appeared. Like it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, if they're in a faction, they should definitely all be involved. Like, I mean, if there's somebody interfering against your faction mate, like everybody in the faction should kind
Yeah.
of get involved. Like,
Yeah.
why are you a faction if
Like
you're not?
well,
You know what
like
I
I
mean?
said, and this will feed into the other thing that I did like about the show that I'll talk about. I understand why Orange Cassidy was still out there because they had this much like Raw had its big through line thing uh with Seth Rollins and but with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, there was a through line and collision as well, where after all the attacks and stuff last week from the BCC, this time not all of the roster, not as much of the roster that should have been out there, but you know a lot of the roster was out there in the parking lot waiting for the BCC to show up to work because apparently nobody can show up to work on time, and you know they were waiting. Let me. I wrote down some of the stuff that was in their hands. Like where was it? It was in one of these things, but I swear, some of the weapons they had were crazy. Somebody had nunchucks. Somebody had a light tube. Somebody had a garden hoe. Like they grabbed like literally they were like grabbing literally anything at their disposal, and they were going to beat the crap out of the BCC when they showed up. And this was highlighted several times throughout the show. And Chuck Taylor had talked to Orange Cassidy about him stepping up and being the leader that they needed. Chuck Taylor obviously retired from in-ring competition. He's now a backstage producer. They were very open about that.
Mm-hmm.
All that leads to the final segment where the truck that they're known to come into the ring now or to come to the arenas now, this huge pickup truck comes in and they're like, finally, oh, and then it's just Marina Shafir in there. She comes out and she looks menacing. And then it turns out, oh, no, BCC had been here the whole time. Guess what? They were good employees and they did show up to work on time. They just hid. And they hit the ring at the end. And, they, I guess the big thing is that they dragged Chuck Taylor out from the back and Pillmanized him.
Oh, Jesus.
Wrapped the chair around his neck, though. Yuta goes to do it on his ankle. Claudio's like, no. We need to make a statement. He grabs the chair from Yuta and puts it on Taylor's neck and then stomps on it. And credit to OC because he was right there. He was literally half a second away from being able to stop it. They hit him and then they powder. And then everybody's in the ring and they're checking on Chuck. And then OC is like, oh man, he is mad. He's big mad. I loved this through line because it took for me talking to somebody on Twitter to realize it. Like I wasn't, I've been pretty vocal on the show last week saying that, I wish it wasn't Mox and I wish that they weren't booked to be so dominant. But it took me talking with somebody on Twitter this week to realize that, you know what? It's really been kind of played smartly because last week they were taking on greater odds than they should have. But really it wasn't because it was in waves. They would take care of these dudes and then they would be gone. And then other dudes would come in. They never really were at a numbers disadvantage at any point. They were just, when they were even on numbers, the BCC were shown to be superior, basically bar fighters or street fighters or whatever. And then this week with this through line, with this story, they showed not only that they were more powerful from a brawn standpoint, but from a brain standpoint. They showed their cunning, their intelligence. They set a trap knowing that the move for the locker room, who was all beat up last week from them, they were all going to be waiting for them. They tricked them. They completely laid a trap for them so that they could, at the end of the show, attack the weakness of Chuck Taylor and try to prompt the aggression that they want from Orange Cassidy. That everybody, both sides of it, seem to want that. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was I'm on board with the story now. I really want to see how it progresses. I do, however, want to know what they're going to do about the Marina problem because I am okay with her choking dudes out. I'm totally fine with that. She has a legitimate MMA background, legitimate martial arts background. I'm totally fine with that. My question is, how do they handle her not ever getting her comeuppance? Are they going to have some woman join this side of the AEW defenders in order to do that? Because I can tell you right now, to a general audience, a man giving Marina what she deserves in retaliation for carnage that she has wrought upon things, it's not going to go over well with a general audience. I would be fine with it because it's fake. I know it's false. I know that they're consenting adults who have agreed upon a predetermined staging of a performance. I don't know how a wider audience would take even somebody in self-defense, hitting Marina if it wasn't a
Yeah.
woman. And that's going to be a problem down the line because people are going to get tired of her getting and never taking, or giving and never taking.
Yeah.
Eventually, somebody needs to be able to match up with her. So I don't know if it's Willow after she's done with whatever she's doing, uh, but or
Right now, taking
somebody.
time off because she was concussed.
Yeah.
So she's got a
Um,
concussion. So get well soon, Willow, but take your time, please.
yeah. I mean, I would, yes, obviously, Willow's a joy, and I love her to death. She's exactly what she proves that there is still room for the white meat babyface character in
Mm-hmm.
wrestling. We aren't so jaded that we will just not accept that at all.
Yeah.
This isn't 1997, I guess. Uh, but I mean, I think if it were me, I would put Thunder Rosa in that spot.
um,
She also has some MMA training. It gives her something to do without having a belt on the line. So I'm always in favor of more women's storylines where there's not a belt on the line because most of the men's storylines don't have titles on the line. Like I don't see why the women's division can't get that kind of same focus.
mhm.
Um,
um, I would proffer since Willow's out, and I wouldn't maybe not Thunder Rosa, just because I want her and Mercedes. So I would say let's. I mean, we can dive into their ultra thick women's roster because they have one.
they do
And we're looking for somebody
quietly,
who
but they
is
do.
we're looking for somebody who's a scary techer, somebody
I
who could
mean,
go
Deeb
hold
comes to
for
mind.
bam. That's exactly where I was going with this. Serena Deeb,
Yeah,
because you can turn her face. The fans want to love her,
yeah.
and
The
she gets
problem is she
cheered
doesn't
whether
have
she's
much of a
playing the heel or not.
personality.
Now
Like
she
she has a
doesn't.
great story, but she doesn't have a personality, which is
Pair
sad.
her up on screen with Mark Briscoe. She doesn't have to have a personality.
Yeah, make her part of the conglomeration. Why
Yeah,
not?
there you go. Yeah,
Why not?
stand in for Willow while Willow's dealing with her concussion thing. We can't be mad at it. It'd be good, I think. But
Yeah,
that's fantasy booking, so,
yeah,
uh, but yeah, I mean that's who I would put in there. Just because I want to see Thunder Rosa and Mercedes go at it. Although I
yeah.
think probably going to be Mercedes and Stat next, which
Probably. Yeah.
I'm or Anna Jay. I don't know, like Anna Jay. Oh, I guess Anna Jay is trying to insert
We'll
herself in
talk
the
about
world
that
title
when I
scene.
cover Collision. We'll
Okay,
talk about that when I cover Collision.
definitely.
But speaking of moving on, that's all I've got to say. So it's time for the Morton.
Our Morton spot, our SmackDown review this week. Yeah, so I'll just go my likes and dislikes on this one. Um, Randy Orton's really trying to get a match with Owens, so much so that he's like on his way to the ring as soon as we open the show. He stops at the gorilla table and says something to Triple H. We don't know what he's saying. Like it doesn't, there's no mic or whatever. So we don't know what he's saying to Triple H. And then he goes to the ring and he's like, you know what? Since last week Nick Aldis said I'm uh it was above his pay grade that I couldn't have this match. I want to talk to the guy above his pay grade. So Triple H, get out here. And one thing I really liked, a little funny part of this kind of serious segment, is that right when he said that, Triple H's music starts playing, and then it cuts the camera back to Triple H at the table, sitting next to the guy who starts the music, and he's like, and Triple H just looking at him like, "The fuck did you do that for?" Yeah. And then the dude just like backs away from the table and gets up and moves so Triple H can get up and come through Gorilla. So that was pretty
I,
funny.
I like those little bits of humor there. Like he's like, "What are you doing?" Like it's
Right,
like
right,
I didn't tell you to do that. Why? Well, that's what we normally do. That anytime anybody gets called out, that's what... yeah. And who tells
right,
you to?
right. So that was kind of funny. I enjoy funny in wrestling. I like my goofy stuff. Triple H is a really good like what the fuck face, so that made it
Yeah,
better.
he's a great
Um,
straight man when he's actually paired with something funny and someone funny.
so he worked that one good. So anyway, um, that was a big like for me. Interesting note, kind of goes with what we were talking about the other day about producers and stuff and like the kayfabe thing. The bottom third, when Triple H makes his entrance, now says Paul Triple H Levesque.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
wow.
the
He went
bottom
full Ron
third
Simmons, huh?
on the television, the bottom third says his
Well,
actual
damn.
name. During the promo, though, Randy Orton used that to his advantage, kind of. He's like, I'm not here to talk to Paul. I want to talk to Triple H. Like, if you're the guy who knocked my, yeah, I love callbacks just like you. So here's something else I love. During the promo, he's like, Triple H is the guy I want to talk to because Triple H is the guy who showed up at my house and beat my front door down with a sledgehammer and drug me out and whooped my ass on my own front lawn. So I'm here to ask Triple H what he would do in this situation. I'm not here to talk to Paul.
That was in the lead up to WrestleMania 25.
Yes, it was. But
Yes.
fantastic callback. I loved that. I was like, hell yeah! I remember our episode lead up to the WrestleMania we attended, so I was into it. I thought it was cool. Um,
Yeah.
I love callbacks. There was a couple on the show, so that it'll get a couple of callbacks will get a like out of me today. Dislike. Again, multiple things are going to be packaged in one unfortunate segment for me, or a pair of
Mm.
unfortunate segments for me, but they're both the same thing. So they played a video package for Andrade and Carmelo. They have had 6 matches. They are 3-3. They are both chasing a shot at the U.S. champion, LA Knight. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Somebody I like, but actually after all of this, kind of like less. And it's not. I don't know if it's him or if it's the booking. Well, I'll explain. So they're having a U.S. They're having a game 7 match because of course it's the 7th match between the two of them over the last few weeks.
And the World
And,
Series is on. Yeah.
yeah, and all that. So it's a game 7 match. LA Knight is the special guest referee. Now, a bright spot in all of this is that LA Knight came out in his regular street clothes, like his skinny jeans and his very nice brown leather boots and this LA Knight vest that he wears. He usually does not wear a shirt underneath it. Underneath said vest, he had on a sleeveless referee shirt. So he just dressed like he always dresses, but he had his referee shirt. Now, when he came out, he had the U.S. title like in his hand and over his shoulder and all that stuff, blah, blah. The match starts, he puts it on. He's refereeing with the U.S. championship on. But then once he figures out that the action's going to be quick and he's going to have to slide around and stuff, he ditches the belt smartly. Very smart
Yeah.
move. That thing would have caused a slide to turn into a tumble very easily. I know this from experience. So yeah, so he ditches the belt. But funny part in the middle of all this stuff, he was wearing same stuff he always wears, sleeveless referee shirt under the vest, so the vest is still sleeveless, and then he's got the title on like for the first like 3 minutes of the match. Anyway, here's where we get to the stuff that I didn't like. Okay, at the end of the match, as they're going, what looks like they're going home. I mean, Andrade does like a springboard reverse Spanish fly, and they both
Okay.
took a really nasty face pancake bump out of it. So they were both selling it. It was pretty gnarly, but they had some really like Andrade and Mello can go together.
Yeah.
They have great in ring chemistry.
I'm not super aware or familiar with Mello, but I've been a big Andrade fan for a long time.
I'm a big
So I
Andrade fan.
know he can go.
Me being a big Andrade fan is one of the reasons why I didn't like how this turned out. So they're having good action. It looks like they're about to go home. Mello kicks out, and when he kicks out of a pin. When he kicks out, he throws Andrade on top of LA Knight. So LA Knight sells up kind of like a ref bump, but he's not as hurt as a ref would be. You know, he's not just out, but he's selling up. And as he's selling up into the corner, he's not looking at what's going on behind him with the match. Mello rolls up Andrade. The crowd counts a full 3, and Mello lets go and goes over and starts berating him. And then like Andrade goes to hit Mello, and Mello moves, and it looks like he's gonna hit LA Knight, but he pulls up short. But then Mello goes to super kick Andrade, and Andrade does move, and he super kicks LA Knight, and LA Knight powders out again. So then we get another sequence of moves, and Mello finishes it out with his finisher, and he goes for the pin. LA Knight gets up and instead of going in and counting the pin, he grabs Melo's leg and pulls him out because that's the dude that kicked him, you know.
Right.
So he pulls Melo out, he slams him on the table, and he goes in, and Andrade's like, "What the fuck did you do that for?" And LA Knight's like, "Go get him, he's out there." And instead of going out to get him, Andrade attacks LA Knight and gets a blunt force trauma for his fucking trouble. Then Melo comes in, tries to attack LA Knight, gets a blunt force trauma for his trouble. So both of the competitors in the super hyped, built for weeks, Game 7 match have just been blunt force trauma by the referee. He then goes to the timekeeper section. He rings the bell. He gets on the mic. He gets on top of uh, the announcers table. He calls them both losers and leaves.
I thought he was a baby face.
I thought so too. I was like, it's a one, very heelish move. Two, kind of a dick thing. Three, we've seen another situation very similar recently where somebody treated somebody like that who shouldn't have been treated like that.
Mm.
Like private party.
I mean, wouldn't it have been better if you just like you can build to a no contest without having to do this?
Yeah.
Like, just go to a double count out.
Yeah.
Like,
I just like it.
Or instead of retaliating, all he had to do was disqualify to both of them. Like
Yeah, he could have.
See, like that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not enough that it's bad. It could have been better, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's room for improvement. This is what we're talking about. Constructive criticism. Like it could have easily been.
Mm-hmm.
They just made it more convoluted than it needed to be.
Yeah,
and it sounded. I mean, what was the crowd reaction? Did they?
the crowd was hot, man. The crowd was hot. The match was good.
No, I mean for the finish, the weird finish.
They went dead. They died immediately. They didn't like it either. I don't think.
See, like it'd be one thing if they were booing, but if they didn't react at all,
I'll put okay. So here's the deal. Here's the thing. Okay, they still did LA Knight's catchphrase with him after he called them losers right before he left. But it was, but this crowd was so like I have several notes in my notes talking about how hot this crowd was. They were hot.
Yeah,
they were hot, and his was that catchphrase after he did that. I think the people who did it probably just hadn't caught on to what exactly just happened yet. It was definitely not as loud as the other basic.
Were they in Chicago or Brooklyn? And they taped next week's too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because they're going to be on a plane to Saudi Arabia the next week. Okay.
So, but I just didn't like the way they did this. Now, another thing I didn't like about this is that they mentioned that Andrade is the speed champion still. Guess what? He didn't carry to the ring with him.
The speed belt.
Yep. So we talked about this.
I honestly don't even mind the look of the speed belt. It's fine.
I like colors, so it looks fine. But yeah, so that's we already talked about this at length last week, but we know why. I hated that. I hated that altogether. So all this together was pretty much the only stuff I didn't like about this show. Everything else I thought was pretty cool. Let's see. Another thing I liked. Candice LeRae gets a match with Naomi. It ends in a schmoz, but it's pretty good. Candice LeRae getting more love. She's a heel. I like it.
Candice LeRae, man, I'm so glad that they're giving her a little bit of a rub. She has been, I mean, I remember seeing some of her PWG stuff, and she is excellent. Mm-hmm. She is tough. Like, for being a little pixie, she is tough. Like, like I wouldn't want to get in the ring with her.
Right. Next couple things I liked. So they did a throwback video package. It was the first time we saw John Cena, the Ruthless Aggression thing that kicked off the Ruthless Aggression era. I loved it. I always love callbacks. So bam, big ol' up. Then we had Cody versus Gunther face off. I know it's for Crown Jewel, but like I said, I could live off these guys' promos. Gunther admitted that it was out of line for talking about Cody's daughter last week, but then called Cody gutless to the point where Cody said, "You know what takes guts? Cutting off a civil conversation and throwing the first punch," and just decked Gunther. I loved it. It was great. Can't say much more about it. It was a really long promo. Go check it out if you haven't. Um, other than that ugly ass belt being between the two of them, it was a really great war of words.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I said Punk and McIntyre level shit, they continue to stay on that same trend. It's good stuff. Despite what they're building to, it's good stuff. Then the last thing I liked, and kind of to wrap up the show, Motor City Machine Guns. Man, they're showing me more reasons to love them every week. And it's only
Those
been two
dudes have been
weeks.
so good for so
So
long.
here's the deal. It's
So
been
glad to see them get their flowers.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks and they've had 3 matches. Here's why. They had their match against DIY for the number one contendership. Um, it was fucking great, man. It was great. Big old ding, ding, ding. I freaking loved it. It was brutal in the Ciampa was brutal to everybody in the best ways. The other three guys did their small man thing. Even though Ciampa's about the same size as all them, he was still the brute in the match. But he's a good brute, man. He really is a good
I
small
mean,
guy
look at
brute.
him.
Yeah. Great
He's
match
5'11", but
altogether.
he's way more jacked than you would think anybody of that height would be.
Crowd was super into it. But Pyro kind of telegraphed this one. The Machine Guns got Pyro, DIY didn't. I knew he was going to win right there. It's like when the challenger comes out after the champion. You just know. During this match, there's loud "We Want Roman" chants, which I didn't like, but
they'll probably get that crowd. Probably saw Roman
probably.
later that night.
Well, this is the end of the night, so here we go. Ready? Okay, so.
Well, I mean, because they double taped it, is what I'm saying.
So anyway, so Motor City Machine Guns win the match against DIY with a Skull and Bones, which is a cool finisher. I like it. He's like holding him in the stinger, in the death drop,
Yep.
Scorpion death drop position, and he splashes off the top rope off onto that. Really cool move. So they get that on DIY. They win. Then the Bloodline shows up. Solo has Dom Mysterio level heat. He couldn't get a word out at first. So he welcomes them to SmackDown, tells them to acknowledge him. They are like, fuck that. Yeah. Tonga and Tama are ready to wrestle, and they've got their belts. Nick Aldis shows up, and he's like, hey, we're not going to do this right here and make these guys wrestle 2 times in a row and waste this championship opportunity. And the Machine Guns are like, nah, fuck that. Let's do it. So they do it. Then Jimmy shows up, and he takes care of Jacob Fatu and kind of shit cans Solo. But then they get the one up on him, and then Roman shows up. And they fight back to the back, and then the champs, the Bloodline champs, get chairs in the ring, and they're about to use them. And Jey Uso shows up, and he takes care of them, hits them with the chair, and then Motor City Machine Guns get the pin. They are new WWE Tag Team Champions. 3 matches in, 2 weeks in. Holy shit, crazy run. I love it though. Their matches have been great so far. So big old love from me. Another big love from me directly after the match. Jimmy comes back from brawling to the back. He sees Jay in the ring. He goes to the ring. Jimmy and Jay hug it out. So maybe we're going to get Motor City Machine Guns versus the Usos, which, yeah, let's do it. I loved it. But yeah, that's basically it for the SmackDown review this week. I really dug SmackDown this week. They didn't do that formatting thing that Raw kind of stole from them. They didn't do it at all. Yeah. So whoever's producing SmackDown, you're on the right track. Please go knock on the Raw producer's door and tell them to unfuck it.
And thanks for listening to our podcast.
And thanks for listening to our podcast. If you're here, yeah, we'd love to have jobs. We know you're hiring a writer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that was our SmackDown review for the week, and that makes it time for the hot tag.
Hot tag, baby. All right, Collision 1026. All right, this was a much more heavy, wrestling heavy show. Collision usually is. It doesn't have quite as many matches as last week. I think last week had like 8 matches. But this one had, I think, 6. That being said, there was some good stuff on here. Not as much bad stuff, honestly. Like most of the stuff I would improve is minor. But I thought the standout things that were good. The Outrunners versus MXM collection was a fun little tag match. It goes to show that People talk about work rate, especially in this day and age when everybody's an insane athlete doing all these cool flips and stuff like that, which are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love that style of wrestling as much as I love any other style of wrestling. Case in point, this style of wrestling. It was simple, but it was far more character driven than it was move driven. It wasn't so much an athletic contest as so much as let's put on a show for the people and give them a babyface team and a heel team. Both are goofy. You can get into both their stuff. It These two teams were made for each other. I feel honestly, I know you're not like a big MXM guy, but I'm a big MXM guy, and I'm a big Outrunners guy, and this gave me all the feels, all the warm, fuzzy, comforting. Oh, this is what wrestling can be. Kind of feels. Nothing was technically brilliant or anything, but just lots of fun character stuff. The Outrunners win with the total recall. They gave the match some good time too. I think it probably was sat around 13, 14, 15 minutes, something like that. Getting your reps in. You're only going to get better the longer you're in there. So
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Oh man, Ricochet versus Lio Rush. Holy cow. Did this match deliver, and not in the way that I thought it was going to either? A complete surprise to me. Earlier in the show, they had a backstage interview kind of segment where Lio kind of confronts Ricochet. Both of them had been approached by the Hurt Syndicate about being recruited. Ricochet said that he had no interest. Lio did not deny having interest, nor did he confirm having interest, which I think is important. But he had an enormous chip on his shoulder, probably because he took that absolute drubbing from Shelton Benjamin the week before. But yeah, Lio starts this match, and he is like with purpose, and he is mean, and he is getting it to the point where you almost forget that he's like 5'4". Like Ricochet isn't a tall dude either. He's only about 5'10" or so. But but he was clearly the bigger guy in the match. But you wouldn't know that by the way that Lio Rush wrestled. It was such a pleasant surprise because I knew the match was going to be great. It can't help but be great with these two. But with Lio Rush's the story that he had coming into it, informing how he wrestled the match, with Ricochet being this new Ricochet who's down and dirty and gritty and unchained, unfettered, can do whatever he wants. He has a lot more personality now too. Being in the unique position of being the bigger guy in the match, it's not something that he normally is. I don't think there's anybody. He's certainly not used to being the slower guy in the match, and nobody's faster than Lio Rush. Nobody. So he had to adapt to that. Just incredible work, both technique and storytelling wise. Lio gets frustrated towards the end of the match and grabs a chair, but immediately regrets it when he gets a drop kicked in his face. I don't know why that didn't cause a disqualification, but I'm okay with it. Ricochet wins for the second match in a row. I guess on Rampage he beat Nick Wayne with this too. It's like his own version of the Hidden Blade, but instead of like a backhanded swipe, it's more like a front elbow kind of deal. He doesn't really have a name for it yet, so far as I know, but that's what he won with. So it looks like he's going to get, 2 finishers. Like so many guys in AEW have like 2 or 3 finishers. So I mean, he's just fitting in. But that match, honestly, I think that was match of the week for AEW. I really do. If you only go and search out one AEW match this week, or from this week rather, this is the match to watch. This is a match that goes to show, and I know that we harp on this all the time, but the people who criticize AEW in bad faith, there's no psychology, there's no this, there's no that. These are 2 of the flippiest guys that you are ever going to find on God's green. And they had this brilliant, nearly perfect wrestling psychology match. It's fantastic, and you absolutely should go out of your way to watch it if you haven't already. Cannot say enough good things about it. Stuff I didn't particularly care for. I was really excited to see Penelope Ford back, but there's a bit of ring rust there.
Mm.
Um, Luckily, Robin Renegade's a total pro. She's been getting her butt handed to her for 4 straight years now in AEW. She knows how to do it. She knows how to make people look good. But I felt like for Penelope's first match back on TV, maybe you could have had it be a more one-sided, shorter affair because there was a lot here that just didn't really, like I said, ring rust is a thing. I'm not holding that against her at all, but I think it would have benefited her for a match with less time, which is weird for me to say. Usually I'm a major proponent of giving people as much time in the ring as possible to tell the stories that they want to tell. But I think maybe just for the first match back to get her feet wet, maybe shorten this by about 4 to 5 minutes and just make it kind of a squash. Honestly, Ford
Mhm.
didn't she didn't look bad, but she definitely looked out of practice. Um, she wins with the Muda lock, and this match had like no heat because it was heel versus heel, which I didn't really care for either. It's like I get why you put her in there with Robin because Robin can take a kick in, but like
Mhm.
then why did you have Robin? I mean, she's just an underneath girl anyway. So why not have her for one day, have her come out of the babyface tunnel and try and hype the crowd and get her behind her? Because Penelope is clearly supposed to be a heel in this program with Jamie Hayter. I mean, nobody's booing Jamie Hayter at this point. So
Mhm.
it'd be pointless to bring Penelope Ford in as anything but a heel if that's what you're putting her against. So
Mhm.
why not just momentarily turn Robin Renegade babyface and give the fans somebody to cheer for
Yeah.
instead of just kind of having. I mean, it kind of heated up a little bit towards the end, but like it was weird. It was a weird dynamic. Heel versus babyface can work. Heel
Yeah.
versus heel is really a lot more difficult to make work. So, I mean, if I had something negative to say about the show, I would have kept the match, but shortened it and have Robin as the babyface instead of a heel. That's what I would have done.
Uh,
To end the show, though, FTR versus. Oh, wait. Couple of great things about the promos, though. Some really funny stuff. Uh, Harley Cameron continues to prove that she is hilarious. She has this promo against Thunder Rosa, calling her out, where she like talks about her face paint, but her face is painted like a cat, a pink cat. Like, and she's like, beware the wrath of Harley Cameron. And then Thunder Rosa comes in and she's like, you know what? She pulls to punch her, and then Harley cowers. And she's like, ugh, whatever. You know what? We'll take care of this next week. You want to know about the pain? Clearly, you're ignorant about the pain. This is about my heritage, and she's not like angry about it either, which I thought was an interesting touch. She's not screaming about it or anything. It's like, this is about my heritage. This is in connection. Pardon me, in connection to Dia de los Muertos. So how about next week on Collision? You and I are going to have a match, and I'll show you what this is about in a Dia de los Muertos match, whatever the heck that means. I imagine it's just a street fight with Mexican
Face paint.
trappings, most likely. But like, I mean, that's fine. Give Car-
Yeah.
give Harley Cameron more time. Please give her more time. I love seeing her. I love Thunder Rosa. Give her more time. Love seeing her now that she's back from concussion.
Hmm.
Fantastic. And the other one, the other promo had me in stitches was the Beast Mortos gets time with the Undisputed Kingdom who are still trying to recruit him. And they come with this it's at first it's just Taven and um Roddy, and they're like, well, last week we tempted you with meat. It didn't really go over all that as well as we wanted to. So this time we took the opposite tack. So they have like a basket full of candy for like trick or treating. And but it's still not like quite registering. It's like, and so they're like, oh, Bennett, Mike, come over here. And Bennett comes from off the frame in a Beast Mortos mask, and they're going, rah, 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 rah. He's speaking with them in beast speech. It's and so they finally like understand each other, and it's awesome, and it's my exact flavor of weird and silly and goofy, and I love it. I love it. And,
Oh
so if
yeah.
this is leading to an Undisputed Kingdom versus LFI feud down the road over basically over who gets to keep the who gets to keep the pet, um, I'm all for it. If I wasn't in favor necessarily of Undisputed Kingdom babyface turn for real, but if this is the direction they're going to go in, yeah, take me there. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Give me more of this stuff. This is great.
Yeah, I love it.
And that leads into the main event, which was another stellar FTR match. They were facing Dralistico and Roosh. Um, Roosh did sell for FTR. I think he knew he needed to.
Yeah.
FTR isn't known for taking liberties by any means, but they demand and command respect. So yeah,
Hmm.
it was not going to be like last week. Roosh was going to sell. But this was great stuff. At one point, Dralistico hits this incredible springboard crucifix driver. Mind melting, absolutely mind melting. Um, Next, the shoulder gets worked on the whole time, which was something that was forecast by Jake Roberts in an interview earlier. He's like, I'm even going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to work your bad shoulder because we know it's bad. We're going to work that the whole match, and that's our strategy. And there's nothing you can do about it. They did what they said. At one point, at one point, Dax gets blindsided by Jake Roberts. Still has a great looking punch behind the referee's back. And towards the end of the match, it was Dax and Roosh, and they were just paintbrushing each other for like a full minute. And the crowd was super hyped for it. It was really building. It was freaking great. Uh, I really thought LFI was going to take it because they're the newly reformed team, I guess. But no, Dralistico takes the Shadow Machine for the pin. But um, Mortos attacks afterwards, and then the Outrunners make the save, and they clear the ring of the bad guys, and then they do the Predator pose to end the show. Honestly, Collision continues in my estimation. Like, if you're more into the story aspects, Dynamite's your show, and if you're more into the wrestling aspect, Collision's probably your show a little bit more.
Hmm.
Collision was great, pretty much top to bottom. With it, like I said, the that match, the two women's matches really, like the Viva Van and um Anna Jay match was, it was Anna Jay. Somebody in the sign, somebody in the front row had a sign that echoed my sentiments. It said Anna Jay has not improved. Um, uh, she seems like, oh, and it annoyed me. They called her Gory Bomb finish the Widow's Peak, and I'm like, no,
No.
no,
Corey
no.
Bomb.
The Widow's Peak is set up like a Gory Bomb, but it's a neck breaker, a Hangman's neck breaker instead of a flat face bump. That's a Gory Bomb.
Bling.
Don't
Victoria
don't
has
you?
entered the chat.
Yeah, don't disrespect my girl Vicky like that.
Nah, don't.
Um, but yeah, like it. Unfortunately, the women's side of things on Collision was a little bit on the weaker side. It probably wasn't really their fault, but like it was just disappointing. You know, Viva Van,
Yeah.
was highly touted too, and she was like, oh, she wrestled at Arena Mexico literally last night. She was been making strides in New Japan, and I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't seen much of Viva Van, and it just felt like they were wrestling in slow motion.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I was like, huh. Like maybe this. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this because I remember during the days of give divas a chance. I was a loud proponent of giving the women in WWE more time because you ain't gonna get better if you only allowed to have 2-minute matches. But
Mm-hmm.
like these two matches didn't need the time that they got because what we got wasn't anything special.
No.
I hate saying that, you know, but I don't know. Like I feel like they had the opposite problem though. I think Penelope Ford and Robin Renegade needed less time, and I think Anna Jay and Viva Van need to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
Like the time they had was necessary. Anna Jay is being put into a world title contention. She needs to be shown to be capable in longer matches. That's fine. Pacing was the issue there.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
sorry, ladies. You know I'm a big fan of y'all, but I just wasn't hitting this week. I'm sorry. Sorry, don't hate me.
It happens. People have off weeks.
Yeah, every heaven knows I have off weeks.
Right?
I'm coming off an off week.
Yeah. Same.
You can still hear the vestiges of it.
Right.
But yeah, that was the week, guys.
All right. It's going to cut me off. So, flippity floppity flu. And all right, it's time for us to call it in the ring like the vets. So, Adam, explain our call it in the ring this week.
Okay, so I originally had an idea uh, that was far meaner than this, and that's why I decided to scrap it because I didn't want that to be what our podcast was about. But I decided to take some inspiration from my dad. Is a big comic book collector. He has collected comic books his entire life. I grew up on the comics, not even of the comics of my era, the ones that were current when I was growing up. I grew up on my dad's comic collection from mostly the 70s and 80s. And that's how I learned to draw a little bit. That's how I know a little bit about comics. And, my expertise, if you want to call it that, that'd be a very liberal use of the word, but my expertise in comics comes mostly from that and from the fact that my dad had a subscription. Well, I don't think I think he just bought them off the rack, but every month he would get Wizard Magazine. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Wizard Magazine, but
Mhm.
for the majority of the 90s into the early 2000s, Wizard was the preeminent magazine for comic book related news. For there was a price guide in the back to see how the prices of individual issues of individual volumes went up or down. There were tons of different stuff. That's how I learned about independent comics lines like Dark Horse and Image and
Mm-hmm.
and Vertigo and stuff like that. I mean, that's an imprint, but point being that my knowledge of comics was informed by these old comics and Wizard magazine. I didn't read the comics that were current in my childhood. I read Wizard to keep up. And Wizard, for the longest time, had a recurring article where they would take a comic book property and this was before Blade and this was before X-Men. So before like the big comics book movie boom, right? And it would take these comic book properties and it would cast them. This character would be played by this actor from this that you would know from this thing. And it would go down the list and the whole thing. My dad was selling comics at a convention a few weeks ago, and he was talking about that. And I would see him prepping comics and stuff for sale, and I was like, man, I was thinking back to those times. I was like, man, reading those Wizard magazines was super cool, and that was my favorite thing. So what I did, I'm taking some inspiration from that. We know that there's going to be a rebooted X-Men movie within the MCU. And I thought, why don't we take that concept using the wizard format of casting it, but put a wrestling spin on it and cast only wrestlers and wrestling personalities?
Okay.
So, what we decided on before this, we're going to do this. We haven't prepped anything. We're just going to do this in the moment.
Yep.
I have a list of the team roster over the years. We are going to limit it to a team of 7 because that is much more reasonable, and we'll keep this segment a little bit on the shorter side. We're deciding to take the X-Men 97 route and have it be an X-Men team post the death of Professor X, mostly because Professor X is somebody who doesn't really, it's not like he's inactive on the team, but like, I mean, he's not the guy you go to see. And
Yeah.
most of the bald people in wrestling don't exactly have that air of sophistication or intelligence that
Right.
the role would require.
Mm-hmm.
We are dealing with wrestlers who, by and large, are not good stage actors. So we're already stretching the limits. We don't need to try and put somebody in Professor X's wheelchair here. And then we're gonna do a couple of baddies. So probably about 10 altogether, 10 casts altogether. And
Okay.
Aaron and I, we are going to discuss them as we go along. So what I think we should cast the team first. Do you want to determine the team first, or do you want to go like person by person? Oh, this person needs to be on the team,
Well,
and
let's
then we
just,
cast it.
yeah, I think we go person by person because,
Okay.
yeah. And we're doing an X-Men reboot. I
Right.
mean, obviously, and I know everybody's thinking it already, so let's just get it out of the way. We have to have a Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
We have to have a Wolverine.
Oh, absolutely. And I know exactly who it can be. It can't be anybody else but
I
Brian
kind of
Cage.
have, God dang, are we on the same wavelength or what? Because I was like, I want my Wolverine comic book accurate. So Brian Cage.
Brian Cage. He's already Swolverine. He has it
Yeah,
written on his trunks every now and then.
true.
He has multiple sets of gear dedicated to the character. He's very into it. He's not like a tall guy, but he's
Nope.
super duper shredded. He's
Mm-hmm.
one of those guys, like most of this team, because it's an MCU thing, and because you would want these characters to be investments, essentially. I think most of them are going to be on the younger side. One of the guys that you can make an exception for is Wolverine because he was born in the 1840s or whatever. So, Brian Cage isn't like that much younger or older than he's about our age. He's in his late 30s, maybe early 40s. But he already looks kind of grizzled. And that works for him. I mean, I don't, and he would obviously want to be Wolverine more than literally anybody else in wrestling that you could cast. So just give it to him.
Yeah.
To me, that's the easiest one to cast.
Yeah. Low hanging fruit right there. Right
absolutely.
Out of the way.
Wolverine Easy. Is absolutely the machine Brian Cage. Congratulations. You're cast. You're the first one. Go. You are our only choice.
Right.
So, I feel like probably the other 2 people you need on the team, or 3 people that you need on the team, are Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Storm.
Okay.
Those are probably the other 3 people you need on the team. And the other 3 can be variable. And in fact, I'd like, if we could, to cast characters that maybe not haven't been there, but weren't featured in the other movies. Give some more opportunities to people for different kinds of stuff.
Okay.
But let's get the core out of the way first.
All
right. Who do you think should be Cyclops? Because I have somebody in mind.
I do too. I actually have a pair.
I want to hear your take.
I actually have a Jean Grey and Cyclops pair in mind.
Ooh. Okay.
and
All
it's
right.
Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae.
Mm. Pardon me. Um, I like where your head's at. Um, it would obviously have real life chemistry together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my, and this is going to be petty, and I'm sorry, but my one of my major concerns there is that Johnny Gargano is not tall.
It's
He
true.
needs to be at least taller than Wolverine.
Okay, fair.
You know,
That's fair.
I mean, I love Johnny Gargano. Don't get me wrong. Honestly, I feel like people leave him out of the best pound for pound wrestler conversation when he really should be in.
Yeah.
Like he may not be at the top of that top 10 list or whatever, but he should be in the conversation. Love Johnny Gargano. I would see him in other roles. I wouldn't see him as Cyclops.
Okay.
Uh Gene. mm, let's get back to Gene. I need to think about Gene. But I my pick for Cyclops would be Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
You know, he's got that height, he's got that stature, he's got
Mm-hmm.
that air of leadership to him. He can
Okay.
be kind of a jerk. Cyclops kind of needs to be a jerk, especially in modern comics. He's a real big jerk.
Yeah.
But I that would be my I think that's my pick for Cyclops. I think Cody Rhodes would nail it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As
I like
far
that.
as Gene goes, considering who I want to be associated on the bad guy side of this movie, you want somebody with range. Because one of the bad guys that I want in this movie is the Goblin Queen.
Okay.
So you would need to have somebody who can be both Jean Grey and her clone Madeline Pryor.
Okay.
So when I think of range, honestly, I think of, and you're probably gonna turn up a people's eyebrow for this, but honestly, I think Becky Lynch. She can
Okay.
do an American accent. She's done it in movies before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if you like, we're reading. I haven't finished it, but I'm listening to the audio version of her biography, and
Mm-hmm.
whenever she imitates like Seth Rollins' American accent or whatever, it's believable. And hell, she could even adopt the Scottish the Irish accent rather, as Madeline Pryor. You know, just to
Yeah.
differentiate them. And she's redhead already. Like that already works. We already
That
know she
helps.
looks good with red hair.
Yeah.
I would like to see Becky Lynch in that personally,
Okay.
but I don't want to dominate this.
No,
If
no,
you're going
no.
to do
I like
somebody
those
else too,
choices. I like
if
those
you want,
choices. And it's
all
mostly
right,
because, and I'm not going to fight them too much because it's mostly because I have somebody in mind for Storm that I will fight. I will fight about if if it comes to it.
bet I know
So
who it is.
I bet you do. I
I
bet
bet I
you
know who it
do
is.
because I bet
I
you have
I
the same answer.
I don't, but my reasoning for it is petty.
Hmm.
My reasoning for it is petty. You go first and confirm that I know who you're talking about.
I mean, it can't be anybody else but Jade Cargill.
See,
It
and
has to be Jade Cargill.
I want to be clear here. She is a fantastic choice. She is an absolutely fantastic choice. Um, I mean, she's done several Storm cosplays in wrestling already. She
Mm-hmm.
already wears her hair white. Like,
Yep.
I totally get it. The only I'm not gonna obviously there's no overriding here. What I would like to put out, though, for consideration, Queen Aminata.
Okay.
Simply because, and like I said, this is going to be super petty, but she already has an accent.
Mm.
She's from Guinea. She's not from Kenya, but I think the average American, myself included, is ignorant to what the differences in African countries' accents are. And if
Mm-hmm.
anything sounds vaguely African, it's going to be like, oh, I buy that.
Yeah.
And you won't have to make Jade Cargill put on an accent for that. Then again, Halle Berry dropped the accent by the beginning of the second movie. So like, and nobody like said anything. Nobody
No.
had that Kofi Kingston moment. Like, did you have an accent 2 years
Yeah.
ago? I mean,
Exactly.
I would put forth for consideration Queen Aminata, who is also a statuesque woman. You
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, kind of has to be Jade, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
kind
I
of has
mean,
to be
it kind of
Jade,
has
right?
to be Jade. I mean, she's already there. She
She's
portrays the
already there.
character.
She wants it. She wants to be Storm like Brian Cage wants to be Wolverine.
Yeah.
How are you going to deny her that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just get her a dialects coach. That's all.
Yeah. That'll work.
They're a dime a dozen in Hollywood anyway.
Yeah, they are everywhere.
Okay,
Oh,
so we've got
so
our core.
yeah.
So I'm going to for the last three members of the team. I want you to put forth a character first. I want you
Mm.
to uh to suggest a character, and then we can do that. And then I'll do one, and then we'll both kind of consensus on this up.
Okay. Um.
All I'll ask is that it's not Magneto.
Oh yeah, no Magneto.
I've had
No.
enough. Sorry guys, I know Magneto's got a big fans. Magneto was right and all that stuff. Blah 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 blah. I've had enough of Magneto. He's in every single movie. Can we just give it a rest for one X-Men film? Like,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic character. He's one of the best comic book characters of all time. He does not need to be in this. Give some other characters a chance, okay?
Mm-hmm. Um. Let's see here. You know, trying to think about somebody who hasn't had a lot of screen time, but is a X-Men character that I like. Mm,
You know what you should do? You should do what I've done and bring up the Wikipedia page for X-Men and look at the team roster, and they have a bunch of names there.
oh yeah, they do, don't they?
They absolutely do. That'll be immensely helpful.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I'm gonna look
And
it
if
up
you want to
right
edit
now.
that out in post, you can. I don't care.
I might. I might not.
It'll make us both look smarter.
So, a lot of names here. Wow, there's a lot of X-Men.
Yeah.
Um,
There are absolutely a ton of X-Men. And some of them are great and some of them are not.
yeah, some of them are not.
Yeah,
Um,
like
let's go with, you know what? Let's go with somebody who's not had a fair turn on screen. How about Cable?
okay. Well, I thought that he got a pretty fair shake in Deadpool too.
I mean, the right person played him for sure. I don't know. I like the cartoon version of him a lot better than the screen version.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I'd go with Cable because it's either Cable or Jubilee, and I think Cable in this case.
I think that that's a good choice though, because of who I have in mind for the baddie, the big baddie. So
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that that's Cable's a great choice. Um, we might even think of making him. The good thing about that character is that you can have him be old grizzled Cable,
Mm-hmm.
or you could have him be young Nate Gray
Yeah.
because it kind of works either way. Time
Mm-hmm.
traveler, you know, it doesn't really matter where you get him from in the timeline. It can work either
Yeah.
way.
Right. Right. He can be pretty much anybody.
So let's see if we're going kind of old grizzled Cable. Man, ooh, that's tough. I like the challenge though. You, you you're gonna hate me for this suggestion,
Okay.
but you know who might actually be pretty decent in the role is John Cena.
I mean, I actually don't hate that. And the reason I don't hate that is because he is good on screen.
Or you know
Um,
what? No. I don't want to say John Cena because he's mostly out of wrestling now. I want somebody who's still in wrestling. So I'm
okay.
gonna take that back. I'm gonna take that back
Okay.
because that made me think, oh, you know who else? Who it made me think, oh, you know who else would be even better is Batista. And then I'm like, wait, no, he's retired. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's already in the MCU anyway. So like,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
it made me think back to John Cena. Like, oh, he's not really. He's in wrestling, but he's not really in wrestling anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not. Okay, well, old grizzled Cable. Well, who's one of those guys who's kind of old and hanging around, but still
Hmm.
like, and oh, if he could, if he could be serious, not for a minute. I'm not talking Lance Storm. Um, if he could be, if he could be legitimately dramatic, the look anyway. Billy Gunn has that look that you're going for
Yeah, he does.
because he's 60, but he's enormous.
Yeah.
He's jacked to the gills. Like he's got that Cable kind of look.
Mm.
I don't know if his acting would hold up, but like uh, I mean I don't think you're gonna get a better, more accurate looking Cable than Billy Gunn at this stage in his life and career.
I mean, as long as he's been doing the wrestling thing, I think he could probably hold up with the acting. I mean, I just don't think it's ever been called on him to be a dramatic character of any kind. But I think as long as he's adapted to, I mean, he hasn't really adapted. He's been the same character for like 20 years. But as far
Yeah,
as playing it, he's not like, hurting to play this. I mean, even at 60, we're like, oh, this guy's still kind of this young jackass. Um,
yeah,
but
kind of.
that's been kind of his character the whole time, but he's played it at 60. So I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to be like he could probably turn around, act a little bit more angry, and pull off a grizzled old Cable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd go with Billy Gunn. I can't think of anybody who has the body type at that age either. And you're gonna, I don't really want to age him, whoever it is. I just want him to be able to
Yeah.
be, and he's already there. He's got the look and everything. He just needs a good scar, and
So,
you know,
okay, we're counting this as one character because it's the same character. What if we decided to go with the younger version of Nate Gray?
mm,
A little bit more inexperienced, doesn't have the technovirus yet. Um, you know, usually he's depicted as in his like mid 20s, right?
mm-hmm.
Oh,
Some
maybe Colton.
maybe Colton would
Because
work,
that way, if you wanted to do like a time skip or something like that, you've got Colton Gunn aging into his father.
which wouldn't be too much of a stretch.
No, like it's completely believable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, I think he's Colton's got that height too. He's like 6'4". I think his dad is a
Mm-hmm.
little bit taller, but like he's got that same general height. He's slimmer though, and he's obviously much younger. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that could work.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so it's my turn,
Mm-hmm.
and given that the X-Men franchise has become kind of people kind of project their own struggles, or take the struggles of the X-Men for tolerance and equality and representation and stuff like that, and project their own troubles in society on them. They've been originally they were supposed to be analogous to the fight for civil rights for Black
Mm-hmm.
people. With Magneto being Malcolm X and Professor Xavier being MLK. Since then, pretty much any marginalized group that you can think of has seen themselves and their struggles in those of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And so the X-Men is kind of this thing on its own that represents underrepresented and disadvantaged and a lot of times oppressed communities. So with that in mind, I want to put forth Thunderbird.
Okay.
And my idea is to have Nyla Rose play Thunderbird.
Okay.
Thunderbird in the comics is male, but guess what? We're doing whatever the hell we want.
Fair.
People do gender swapping all the time. Nyla Rose is Native American. She's a native beast. She looks legitimately tough. She looks like she would have like the powers of a Thunderbird.
Yeah.
I think that in as far as as far as representation, if you want to make that statement with the X-Men that people are already going to make, so why not lean into it?
Mm-hmm.
I think Native Americans and trans people, for that matter, are among the least represented people in film.
Yeah.
I think here's an opportunity to represent both of those demographics.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, mostly because other than that, I mean, I can't really think of a whole lot of native wrestlers who are native and could fill that representation role. I mean, I know there's a few, but I mean, mostly indie people come to mind who haven't been on TV yet. But yeah, if we're talking mainstream wrestling, yeah, Nyla would be the perfect choice for that. Because yeah, we could totally gender swap it. We do it all the time. We've done it with Thor already.
Yeah.
It's coming for Captain America eventually. So um, yeah, we can start that off as a gender swap, so we don't have to change it later.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that would be, thematic and appropriate. And I think that, honestly, I think Nyla would eat it up too.
Yeah.
I mean, Thunderbird, that character isn't necessarily known for being the comic relief of the group, but can you seriously not see Nyla as eating up all the scenery? Like,
yeah,
she would absolutely destroy. It would be great.
Oh yeah, she's funny. She's naturally funny, so I think it would
She's a
work really well.
fantastic Twitter follow.
Oh yeah, she makes
All
me
right,
laugh every
so
day.
we've got one more spot on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be a woman.
Okay.
What do you think? Who do you think?
Let's see here. What do we got?
We've got. I mean, I would still say Kitty Pryde would be worth it because really, she was only really um, essential to the plot in one film.
Mm-hmm.
Mystique's had her shot. Jubilee, Dazzler. Uh, I'd rather not do Polaris because that's just a sneaky way of getting Magneto back on the team.
Right.
You could do Marrow.
Yeah.
Marrow would be interesting. You could do You could do Psylocke. She was in Apocalypse, but she didn't show up in the later movie. I don't think she showed up in Dark Phoenix. So
Yeah.
you could do that if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's go with Psylocke.
You could even you could even do a tie-in. Pardon me. You could even do a tie. Well, no, you couldn't do that because she's not a wrestler. I was going to say you could even do a tie-in with Ms. Marvel because it was confirmed that she was essentially the MCU's first confirmed mutant. But
Mm,
she ain't a wrestler, so we can't cast her when she's already cast.
right. So yeah, I think Psylocke's good. I mean, she had a good
Okay.
run with Olivia Munn, but if we're gonna
Yeah,
recast,
she ain't no wrestler, and this is a
no.
new continuity.
Yep.
So
So who could be Psylocke?
who could be
Um,
Psylocke? Um,
hmm.
I'm thinking. I mean, I love Asuka. I love me some Asuka. But you know what? I think Io Sky has a better look for it with that long hair she's got.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always put a wig on Asuka to get that length that you're looking for. But I think I think Io would be kind of perfect for it. She also looks taller than she is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's got that kind of build that you want with Psylocke because she used to be or well, Quanon anyway, used to be an assassin for the hands. So she used to be a
Yeah.
ninja, and she's got kind of that ninja build to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like Io Sky in that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any
I
other
don't really have a
thoughts.
better one than that. I think Io Sky is a pretty good choice for that one. Because yeah, I mean, she's got the right look for it, really, and I mean, can speak English well enough to cover the role. So yeah, I
All
would
right,
go.
there's our team then, I guess.
Yep.
Now, like I said, one of one of the baddies would be the Goblin in my scenario. In my scenario, it would be the main baddie would be though Mr. Sinister pulling
Okay.
all the strings that he pulls because he's been teased in X-Men projects for literally years and he's never been shown. He's one of my favorites, and I think that between the connection with the Gray Summers line and his mutation stuff, you can tie it back to being a protege to High Evolutionary if you want. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to do another tie-in, you can have one of his assistants be Miles Warren, who could show up in the next Spider-Man movie as the Jackal.
Mm.
Do some clone stuff there if you wanted to. MCU's all about laying the Easter eggs, right? So put them
Right.
there. For my money, Mr. Sinister, Christian Cage.
Hmm.
Christian Cage.
I can only proffer one person, and it's all based on his look.
Give it to me.
It's Vince McMahon.
No, 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 no.
He looks just like Mr.
We're
Sinister
not
with the
doing that.
mustache. I mean,
We're
come
not
on.
doing this.
Okay,
Not
we
we're
won't.
not going to
We won't do it
we're
then.
not going to give him any more money.
But yeah, Christian Cage would be great because he's definitely conniving. He would just need to. I mean, he's gonna have a heavy makeup anyway, but yeah,
Yeah.
black hair. Well, yeah, he could definitely do it.
He's got that menacing presence, especially now where he's hitting like he's in the prime of his character at age
Mm-hmm.
50. Like it's insane. He is such a great dastardly evil heel character already. I don't think anybody in wrestling to me says, "Yeah, play me for a guy where Sinister is literally in my name," as much as Christian Gage.
Yeah, I think he works pretty good.
So in my idea, it would be Mr. Sinister doing some clone stuff and some mutate stuff. So the clone would be Goblin Queen, Madeline Pryor, who we've already
Mm-hmm.
established is whoever's playing Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, the last role that we'll be filling, would be his mutate representation, Sauron.
Oh,
Who do you
man.
play? Who do you cast as the giant pteranodon man?
Oh, man. I mean, heavy makeup, so this could be almost anybody. A lot of CG on
It'd
this
be
one.
about the voice at that point, probably,
Oh, man.
and probably the physicality too, because he'd probably be motion capture.
Yeah. Um, hmm. Man, I don't know on this one. Because I don't know what his voice would sound like. So,
In the cartoon, it sounded really like hissy and reptilian. We don't have to go
mm,
that way though. It all depends on what you want to do. Like I have an idea,
mm.
but I feel like I'm dominating the conversation, and I want you to
I mean, we have to have, it has to be somebody with physicality and a little size. He's got to be able to mocap or carry that kind of,
yeah. He
weight.
doesn't need to be a big guy if you're mocapping and CGIing over him.
Yeah.
So
I
as long as
mean,
they've got the physicality and the voice.
physicality and I mean, somebody who talks like a snake and is very physical. Let's go with John Moxley.
Moxley would be a good choice.
Yeah, because I mean, he could.
He would
I'm
have to
sure he can talk
slow.
less slither.
He would have to slow down, but he does. Yeah, he does have a certain snake-like quality to him.
Mm-hmm.
My idea, even though he'd be such a pain to work with, low key,
Okay.
because he already kind of hunches over and does like the thing where he's like an animal anyway, and he's got that big booming deep voice for somebody who's like 5'7". Like
Yeah.
you don't expect that voice to come out of that bot.
No.
But
No.
I mean, I've never seen anybody move the way low key moves as if he's like a Great Muda 2.0. And I feel like that would really benefit a character who's a giant hypnotic pteranodon.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I see it. I definitely see it.
I do like Moxley though. I like Moxley in the role.
Yeah.
He's far more intelligent than people give him credit for. So if you
Yeah.
wanted to go like that cerebral route, that's the point of Sauron is that yeah, he's a mutate, but like he's far more intelligent than just the bestial image that he puts on.
Mm-hmm. That kind of equates with Moxley being more intelligent than the brute that we see on television.
Yeah, but he's certainly willing to go there if he needs
Yeah.
to, more
Exactly.
than.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we drafted a good team, a
I
good
think so.
cast here.
Yeah, that would be an interesting X-Men movie. I'd be down to watch it.
Yeah. Hey, listeners, let us know what you think. If you had any other suggestions or criticisms, or I can't believe you didn't think of this person. Why didn't you know? Let us know. Let us know. Find us on Twitter. We would love to hear your feedback.
Absolutely. We definitely would. Well, that is our time for the week. And this has been a little bit truncated version of the Smark Foundation podcast. But we will be back next week, right before Raw. As always, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Adam.
And you guys have a wonderful week. Goofy Wrestling
Absolutely.
for life.
Goofy Wrestling for life. Shout out to Simon Miller, as usual.
Shout out.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.